license and registration. Now, he doesn't say good evening. He doesn't say ma'am. He leans into the window of her car, a black $74,000 Cadillac Escalade. New, spotless, parked in the driveway of the house she has lived in for 4 years. And he says it the way you bark an order across a yard. She reaches for her purse with the slow, deliberate calm of someone who has been here before. Hands visible. Movements telegraphed. Her purse sits on the passenger seat, and she says that out loud before she touches it. He does not acknowledge it. She pulls out her license, her registration, her insurance card, all of it, together, organized the way someone carries them, who knows they may need them fast and without argument. She holds them out through the window. He takes them, does not look at them, holds them at his side, away from her, the way you hold something you are confiscating. What are you doing in this neighborhood? She tells him she lives here. He looks past her at the house, the wide driveway, the colonial columns, the American flag still, the upstairs windows lit. Then he looks back at her. Whose house is that? Mine, he makes a sound, not quite a laugh, something between contempt and disbelief. The way a person sounds when they have already decided what is true and are simply confirming it. Step out of the vehicle. She does not raise her voice. She does not plead. She does not argue. She steps out. She stands on the concrete of her own driveway with her hands visible, palms open, and she does what she always does in moments like this. She counts. That is what she does. She counts every violation the way a person tallies a receipt, quietly, precisely, with no expression, because she knows she will need the total later. Unlawful stop. No stated probable cause. Demand to exit without legal justification. She is already at 3 before he speaks again. He reaches through the window and takes the ID from where she held it out, and he puts it in his shirt pocket without looking at it. 4. A silver pickup truck slows at the curb. The driver lowers his window, looks at the officer standing at her driver's side door, nods once, and drives on. A woman pushing a stroller crosses to the other side of the street and does not look back. A teenager on the sidewalk lifts his phone and starts filming, and he says something that is not support. He has no idea. Because the black woman he just pulled over in her own driveway, whose identification he put in his pocket without reading, is the sitting governor of this state. And in 47 minutes, every badge number on this street will be under formal review. They just don't know it yet. But this story doesn't start here. Her name is Renata Elaine Caldwell. She is 54 years old. She has been governor of this state for 3 years and 11 months, and the office she holds is not the most powerful thing about her. It is simply the most recent. Before she was governor, she was the state attorney general for 2 full terms. 8 years in which she rebuilt the public corruption unit from a 3-person department, operating out of a converted closet, into a 31-person division, with a conviction rate of 87%. Before that, she spent 11 years as a federal prosecutor in the Eastern District, where she built cases from scratch against 4 sitting county commissioners, 2 of whom had been considered untouchable, and recovered $214 million in stolen public funds. She tried her first federal case alone, without a second chair, 3 months out of law school. She won. She grew up 40 minutes south of this neighborhood. Her mother, Dorothy, worked the early shift at a hospital laundry for 31 years, 5 a.m., 6 days a week. The kind of schedule that leaves no room for illness or weather or grief. Her father, James, drove a delivery truck for 22 of those same years and died of a heart attack at his kitchen table on a Sunday morning, 11 months before Renata stood in the atrium of the State House and took the oath of office for her first term as Attorney General. he never saw it. On her desk, in the corner by the window, there is a small framed note in his handwriting. 4 lines. His careful print. The date. She reads it some mornings. Not every morning. Some. She had been at dinner that evening, a quiet one, at the home of a close friend 3 miles away. She left at 10:48. She turned onto her block at 10:53. She was pulling into her own driveway when his lights came on behind her. She had not run a light. She had not been speeding. She had done nothing except exist in a car in a neighborhood where someone decided she did not belong. His name is Officer Dennis Pratt. He has been with the department for 9 years. He is 2-time Officer of the Year. His commendation photo hangs in the lobby of the precinct, 3rd frame from the left. He was the first officer from his district to be nominated for a state public safety award, which his captain presented to him at a ceremony in the department conference room, where he was called a credit to the department and a leader in the community. The captain's speech ran 6 minutes. Pratt's colleagues gave him a standing ovation. He has 11 documented complaints. Every single one was dismissed at the supervisory level. The supervising sergeant who dismissed 6 of those 11 complaints was promoted to lieutenant 8 months ago. An internal affairs review was never requested. No pattern analysis was ever conducted. The 11 complaints sit in 11 separate files that have never been placed in the same room. He is 31 years old. He has never been formally disciplined. He does not know who Renata Caldwell is. He has not looked at the name on the identification he placed in his shirt pocket. He placed it there because that is what he does. That is what he has always done. That is what the institution he serves has always allowed him to do. 43 minutes. He is on the radio now, running the plate on the Escalade. The registration comes back clean. Registered to Renata E. Caldwell at the address on the driveway where they are standing. He pauses. He runs it again. Clean again. He does not look at her. He switches to a different frequency and asks dispatch to run outstanding warrants on the name on the ID. The ID he still has not looked at. The ID still in his shirt pocket. The query comes back. No warrants, no priors, no flags of any kind. He does not report this information to her. "Are you going to tell me why I was stopped?" she asks. "I'll ask the questions," he says. She counts that one. 5. A second unit arrives. The officer who steps out is younger than He looks like he has been on the force for less than 2 years, which he has. His name is Marcus Webb. He walks to the edge of the driveway and takes in the scene, the woman standing with her hands visible, palms open. Still, composed, the Escalade, the house, Pratt standing at the front of the vehicle with the registration in his hand. Something moves across Marcus Webb's face and disappears. "Everything good?" he asks. "Under control," Pratt says. Marcus stands to the side. He does not intervene. He does not leave. He does not take out his notebook. He stands at the edge of the driveway and watches the house and the woman and his colleague. And he does not yet know what he is going to do with what he is seeing. 3 miles away, Renata Caldwell's chief of staff is still at the dinner table when her phone lights up with a single message. Patricia Osei has been chief of staff for 3 years. Before that, she was deputy ag for 4. She has worked for Renata Caldwell in one capacity or another for the better part of a decade, and the one thing she will tell you about that work is that you have to be ready to move, because this woman does not wait for the slow mechanisms of institutions to catch up to what she already knows is right. Patricia reads the message once. Then again. Then she is already standing. Already dialing. She makes 3 calls before she reaches her car. 1 to the governor's personal security detail, One to the state police superintendent's personal cell, one to a deputy press secretary who picks up on the second ring and whose first word is yes. Document everything, Patricia says. Timestamp everything. I need to know what you can get to me in the next 20 minutes. 36 minutes. Back on the driveway, Dennis Pratt has now asked her the same 3 questions twice. Where was she coming from? Where was she going? Who does she know in the neighborhood? She answers the first 2. For the third, she looks at him evenly and says, I live here. He asks her to repeat that. I live here, she says again. Same tone, same volume. The tone of someone stating a fact for the record. He makes a note on his pad. She cannot see what he writes. The teenager who started filming 7 minutes ago is still filming. He has moved to a better angle. He has not said anything else. He is standing very still, the way people stand when they understand that something is happening that they should not look away from. 28 minutes. The first security vehicle arrives, unmarked. It parks at the edge of the property, and 2 agents step out and take up positions at the edge of the driveway without speaking to anyone. Dennis Pratt looks at them. They look back. He has spent 9 years being the person people look to when they arrive at a scene. He is not used to being the person being watched. Who are these people? He says to her. She turns to look at him directly for the first time since she stepped out of the car. They're with me, she says. He moves toward the agents. One of them, a woman, mid-40s, her hands at her sides, gives a single small shake of her head. Not threatening. Precise, the kind of movement that communicates, without words, that approaching further would be a significant mistake. He stops. Marcus Webb has moved 2 steps to his left. He is standing at an angle where he can see her face clearly. She is looking at the side of the house. Her expression is composed. Her hands are still at her sides. Her palms are still open. He watches her for a moment and then looks at the agents, and then looks at the house, and then looks at his shoes. He has a feeling in his chest he will later describe as the feeling of watching something happen that you already know will matter. He does not move toward Pratt. He does not say anything. He stays where he is. 18 minutes. Gerald Mays, superintendent of the state police, is in his personal vehicle, moving through the streets 2 blocks away. He has been on the phone for 23 minutes. He is not driving fast. He is not running lights. He is driving the way someone drives when they already understand exactly how something ends, and they are arriving to confirm it. On the driveway, Pratt is trying to explain the stop to one of the security agents. The agent has not taken out a notepad. The agent is not recording. The agent is simply watching him with the quiet, patient attention of someone who has already finished listening. She was acting suspicious, Pratt says. The agent does not respond. She was pulling in at 11 at night. To her driveway, the agent says. I didn't know that yet. You had her registration. He does not answer that. Patricia Osei's car is now 1 block away. 14 minutes. A state police vehicle turns onto the block. Then a second. Then a third. They park in a row behind the unmarked vehicles, and the officers who step out take positions at the perimeter and say nothing. The street is very quiet now. The teenager on the sidewalk has been filming for 31 minutes. He has not moved. He has not said anything since those first words. He is watching. Dennis Pratt turns to look at the line of vehicles, then at the agents. Then at Marcus Webb, who has his phone out and is looking at the screen with an expression Pratt cannot read. What is going on? Pratt says. It is not a question. Renata Caldwell takes 2 steps toward him. She stops. She is close enough that he has to look at her, not past her, not around her. at her. She reaches into the inside pocket of her blazer and removes a card, her official card, gold seal, her name, her title, the words that mean something in this state, and she holds it out. He takes it. He reads it. He reads it again. The color drains from his face. The smirk, the authority, the 9 years of institutional permission, all of it leaves at once. And what is left is a 31-year-old man reading a card on a driveway at 11 o'clock at night in front of 10 people, understanding exactly what he has done. He takes one step backward. "My name," she says, "is Renata Caldwell. I am the governor of this state. You have been detaining me without cause in my own driveway for 33 minutes. You have my identification in your shirt pocket, which you took without reading and have not returned. I have counted 16 procedural violations since the moment you turned in behind me." She pauses. Her voice does not rise. "I suggest you call your union representative." Right now. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. He steps backward again. His heel catches the edge of the driveway's apron, and he catches himself against the door of his patrol car. Marcus Webb has stopped looking at his phone. He is very still. Gerald Mays walks up the driveway. He stops beside her. He does not look at Pratt. He looks at her. "Governor," he says. "Gerald," she says. The incident report filed by Dennis Pratt that night was placed under administrative review before he finished his shift. By the following afternoon, the review had been escalated to the State Police Internal Affairs Bureau. By the end of the week, the State Attorney General, Renata Caldwell's former office, now held by someone she had mentored through 3 years of public corruption work, had opened a formal civil rights inquiry. The teenager's video hit 4 million views before the first official statement was issued. By the time the statement went out, it had been shared 290,000 times. Pratt was placed on paid administrative leave that night. He was escorted from the precinct 3 days later by 2 officers who had worked beside him for years. He carried a cardboard box. He did not speak during the walkout. The commendation photo in the lobby was taken down the following Monday. His 11 dismissed complaints were reopened. All 11. In the 2 weeks after the incident, 4 additional complaints were submitted by individuals who said they had not come forward before because they did not think it would matter. The lieutenant who had dismissed 6 of the original 11 was placed under separate review. He retained his rank through the first 2 months of the investigation. Criminal charges were filed 6 weeks after the incident. Unlawful detention. Deprivation of civil rights under color of law. Official misconduct. He entered a not guilty plea on a Tuesday morning in a courtroom where he had testified many times, standing on the other side of the stand. His union paid for his attorney through arraignment. That arrangement ended before trial. He was convicted on 2 of 3 counts. Sentenced to 14 months. Served 9. Permanently barred from law enforcement in this state. He owes $62,000 in civil restitution. He has not made a payment. His pension was forfeited as part of the civil settlement. He works at an auto parts store outside the city. The commendation photo from the precinct lobby is in a storage room somewhere. No one has asked about it. The lieutenant who dismissed 6 of his complaints reached a retirement agreement before his formal disciplinary hearing. He kept his pension under a negotiated resolution. The terms have not been made public. 11 days after the incident, on the steps of the State House, without notes, Renata Caldwell spoke for 7 minutes. She did not speak about herself. She spoke about a 14-year-old who had been stopped on that same block 5 months before her. She spoke about two black men who had been pulled from a car on the same street in the previous calendar year. She spoke about what it means when the law is applied in inverse proportion to the dignity of the person it is applied to. She spoke about the 11 complaints in 11 separate files that had never been placed in the same room. She said, "I was not stopped because of anything I did. I was stopped because of what someone decided I must have done. I had my identification in my hand, offered without being asked. I was calm. I was home. I was in my own driveway. None of that was sufficient." That is not a story about one officer. That is a story about what we have built, about what we have decided we are willing to accept. She paused. I want to be clear about why I did not say my name for 33 minutes. That was a choice. Because the next black woman stopped in her driveway will not have a title to give. And she deserves the same treatment I deserved, not the treatment I received, the treatment I deserved. If I have to announce what I am to be treated with dignity, the system is already broken. We either fix this for everyone, or we have fixed nothing at all. She thanked Patricia Osei. She thanked Gerald Mays. She acknowledged, without naming, a young officer who had told the truth about what he had seen before anyone asked him to. Then, she went back inside. She had a budget meeting in 40 minutes. Patricia Osei chaired the governor's task force on police accountability. She ran the first public hearing. She spent 40 minutes listening before she asked her first question. Gerald Mays retired 9 months after the incident. At his retirement ceremony, he said the thing he was most proud of in his career was knowing the difference between the moments that required him to arrive and the moments that required him to stand aside and let someone speak for themselves. He looked at Renata Caldwell when he said it. She looked back. Marcus Webb is still on the force. He requested a transfer to the Community Oversight Unit 4 days after the incident. In his transfer application, he wrote that he had stood in a driveway for 18 minutes and watched something wrong happen and had not moved, and he did not want to stand like that again. He submitted a second, longer written account 4 months after the first. He said he wrote it because he wanted to remember exactly what it felt like to know something was wrong and stay still. He said he did not want that feeling to fade. He coaches youth basketball on Thursday evenings. He shows up early. In the neighborhood, a community safety review board was established. Monthly meetings. High attendance for the first 3 months. Settled now at around 30 people. Still meeting. Renata Caldwell is still governor. Still in that house. Still pulling into that driveway at the end of long evenings. Sometimes she sits on the porch for a few minutes before she goes in. Her chief of staff says she has always done that. Just a few minutes, looking at the street. Quiet. The note in her father's handwriting is still on her desk. She reads it some mornings. Not every morning. Some, she said once, in a closed-door meeting that was later described to a reporter without attribution. Someone has to be watching. That's not optimism. That's not hope. That's the work. If this story stayed with you, if it made you angry or thoughtful or both, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Stories like Renata's don't spread themselves. We spread them. Together, drop a comment below. Think about Marcus Webb standing on that driveway for 18 minutes. Have you ever been in a moment like his, when you could see something wrong happening and had to decide what to do with that knowledge? What did it cost you to stay still? Subscribe for more stories that name what's happening and honor the people who refuse to look away. Every view is a decision about what we choose to see. Justice requires witnesses. Be one.